Germany under Hitler. Who were the people who voted for him in 1933? Who trusted him? Who despised him? Who feared for their lives? What did they think when war broke out in 1939? And what did they still believe in by the time it ended in 1945? 8 diaries tell of life under National Socialism, be it fanatical support for an inhuman ideology or fear of persecution and extermination. A witness to the thinking of the time, these 8 German accounts depict everyday life, allegiance, coming of age, inner turmoil, despair, and death. Franz Albrecht Schal had just turned 20. A committed National Socialist, he'd been a member of the Hitler Youth for 2 years and a member of the Nazi Party for 6 months. For him, Adolf Hitler was a role model. When Hitler was appointed Chancellor of the Reich, Franz saw that his time had come. He made the following entries in his diary.
January 30, 1933. Adolf Hitler is Reich Chancellor. Soon a fresh wind will blow through Germany. A lot of things are going to change. For us, it happened quite suddenly. I still can't quite believe it myself. Imagine the possibilities. Hitler at the head of the Reich, for which he's fought fanatically and unerringly for 14 years. Germany now has a man who will forge a nation out of hardship and humiliation, a nation that can finally defy the world.
Wittlich in the Eifel region of Western Germany. This Catholic conservative town was home to 39-year-old Matthias Josef Mees, his wife Helene, and their 2 daughters, Maria and Margrethe. He was religious, a Democrat, and a city councillor for the Catholic Center Party. 11 years earlier, Matthias Mees had taken over his father's inn. As an innkeeper, he was well known in the town. He wrote in his diary almost every day.
This evening we're sitting quietly together in the pub, talking about political developments, of course. Suddenly in comes a man of the paramilitary, the SA. He opens the door wide, steps in confidently,
Heil Hitler!
Looks at us as if he wants to take note of who we all are, then leaves again. Informers, terror, it's monstrous. So this is the Hitler era. What can be done about it? Report these people? Passionate protest in the newspaper? It all seems pointless to me. The uniforms, the lockstep marches, the flags, the spying, all of it will disappear of its own accord.
The Solmitz family home was in a middle-class neighborhood in Hamburg. Luise Solmitz was a 44-year-old former teacher, now a housewife. Her husband Friedrich was a businessman and a retired military officer. The couple had been together for a long time. They voted for the nationalist German National People's Party. Luise Solmitz had been keeping a diary for many years. She was impressed by the new chancellor, as was her 12-year-old daughter, Gisela.
February 6th, 1933. A torchlight procession by the National Socialists. A wonderfully uplifting experience for us all. Gisela came too. The first torches came, and then 20,000 brown shirts followed like waves in the sea. Their excited faces shone in the torchlight. I told Gisela to stay until the end, because up until now, children have had such miserable impressions of politics. Now they could remember this sense of a strong nation. We were intoxicated with enthusiasm, dazzled by the light of the torches in front of us. Their haze was like a sweet cloud of incense. At times there were cries of "Perish Judah!" and songs about knives spurting Jewish blood.
At Hitler's request, Parliament, the Reichstag, was dissolved just 2 days after his appointment. New elections were called. As election campaigning began, Hitler gave a speech on February 10th. He declared his opposition to Jews, Democrats, and Marxists.
Damals gelobte ich mir zum ersten Mal, als unbekannter Eiserner diesen Krieg zu beginnen und mich zu ruhen, bis endlich diese Erscheinung aus dem deutschen Leben besiegt sein dürfte. Und dann greift es endlich zurück.
I heard Hitler on the radio. He was speaking at the Sportpalast in Berlin. I understand now why the masses are following him. He has a powerful voice. He roars like a bull. He lacks all moderation. How can a nation make such a man of impulse Chancellor of the Reich? He has power, but no spirit.
That was the path we had to follow. All for one and one for all. Hitler is going to need enough people to put his plans into action in all areas. There's still a huge amount of work to be done. If only I could help too. God give me strength and ability so that I can work happily and usefully wherever He commands me.
Franz Schall wanted to get involved, to help shape the new Germany. He had grown up in Altenburg in Thuringia in the country's east. His parents were middle-class Protestants. His father was a teacher and an opponent of the Nazis. Franz rebelled against him and left home. In spring of 1932, he moved to Dresden and became an apprentice carpenter. His hobbies included playing the violin, drawing, and cycling. His mission? To whip the Hitler Youth into shape.
February 11, 1933. A Hitler Youth meeting in the clubhouse. It was crowded, restless. There was loafing about, misconduct, and noise. What will become of Dresden's Hitler Youth? That's the question. I went out into the countryside to clear my head. In Stolpen, I left my bike at party headquarters. I drank a pot of coffee in a coffee shop by the market and had a slice of custard too. There's a lack of tight organisation. The only true revolutionary is someone who has the courage to impose a new, radical idea on a lazy, mindless world, no matter what they throw at him. That's revolution.
The old order was being overthrown, within Germany's ministries as well.
Ich werde mit eisernem Besen auskehren und alle diejenigen, die ausschließlich wegen ihrer roten oder schwarzen Gesinnung und zur Unterdrückung aller nationalen Bestrebungen in Amt und Würden sitzen, hinausrief.
In Breslau, present-day Wrocław in Poland, 40% of voters had backed the Nazi Party. But the city also had the third largest Jewish community in the German Reich.
February 20th, 1933. Today is Trudy's birthday. She's 32 years old. Last night, we talked about some of the things that had been troubling me. That lifted my spirits. I told Trudy how difficult it often is for me to bear everything, and how helpless I often feel in the face of this struggle for existence.
His name was Wilhelm Kohn, but everybody called him Willi. A German Jew, he had fought in the Great War and been awarded the Iron Cross. Gertrud, or Trudy, was his second wife, 12 years his junior. Their daughters were 8-year-old Ruth and Susanna Augusta. Little Susanna was 10 days away from turning 1. He also had 2 sons from his first marriage. Willi Kohn was a teacher of history, German, and geography. He was a member of the Social Democratic Party, the SPD. He'd been keeping a diary since his youth.
There are disgusting Nazi posters with the greatest historical lies stuck on the ad columns. Even inflation is being blamed on the SPD. Everything's back to front. One newspaper said, "The Jews are to blame for all misfortune." Disgusting. Despite everything, it's hard to tear one's love of Germany completely out of one's heart. Though that's really what one should do. February 28th. The first thing I heard this morning was that the Reichstag was on fire. The most disgusting kind of terror against all those on the left is beginning.
Basic rights, like freedom of assembly, freedom of the press, and freedom of expression, were suspended.
These new emergency measures have sealed our mouths shut. Everything is treason. Everything's punishable by death. It feels like we're at war.
On March 4th, the day before parliamentary elections, Luisa Solmitz's daughter Gisela celebrated her 13th birthday.
Gisela has been saying, "You have to vote for Hitler for me. I want it for my birthday. You'd better do it. I'll be very angry if you don't. Oh, if I could only vote for Hitler myself." March 5th, 1933. At last. A victory for all of us who are patriotic-minded and fought for Hitler. The air was full of jubilation, redemption, the sense of spring ecstasy. The burning of the Reichstag helped this election immensely.
Hitler had won the vote. The balance of power had shifted radically.
March 7, 1933. This afternoon, I rushed down to the square by the town hall. Everyone was waiting for our sacred banner to be raised. And suddenly, the huge flag put up by our paramilitaries, the SS, was waving. There were big cheers. This symbol is going to fly from the town halls of the cities and from the ministries in the states, with the single goal proclaimed by this banner: the resurrection of Germany, inside the country and beyond.
Breslau, March 9th. The city looks completely different because of the swastika flags flying from all the public buildings. How are people like us supposed to feel when others praise this flag, even if they're pressured to do so? This flag, beneath which we Jews have suffered and continue to suffer the worst kind of insults. People are in a frenzy.
Wittlich in the Eifel region was home to over 7,000 people, including 280 Jews. There were Jewish lawyers and doctors, as well as 30 Jewish businesses. Matthias Mees noted in his diary,
April 1st, 1933. Today I'm recording the most inhumane thing I have ever experienced. At 10 o'clock, SA troops marched into the city with 10 or 12 large signs. On the signs were written things like, "A Jew lives here, avoid this place," or "The Jews are to blame for our misfortune." Granted, the Jew, and especially the corrosive Jewish spirit, has become too widespread. It should be put in its place. But what we're seeing and experiencing today has nothing to do with decency, German character, or humanity. It's barbarism, plain and simple.
Luise Solmitz also felt the boycott was going too far. For the first time in her diary, she expressed her disappointment in Hitler.
A bitter April Fool's joke today, which will be with us for years to come. Posts were taken up at 10 o'clock. Ugly red posters were plastered on Jewish stores. The message, "Don't buy from Jews." You felt shame standing in front of each store covered in placards. I have a bad feeling about this. Oh, Hitler, you great man. What are you doing?
Lots of Jews who wanted to flee Germany by train with their suitcases and their money are said to have been caught. They've been taken to the community centre where they're scrubbing staircases, among other things. I took my violin to my schoolmate's house and the two of us played Handel's Largo.
April 13th, 1933. Today we read in the newspaper about the removal of Jewish and Marxist teachers. We're being removed like an ingrown hair. True, we're not being killed, but we are being mentally tortured and systematically deprived of any way to exist. In the morning, I went for a walk with Wölfel. He will probably leave now too. A very difficult decision, but there's hardly any other option.
Wölfel was Willi Kohn's 18-year-old son, Wolfgang. He had received a death threat. A former classmate who was allegedly kicked out of school because of Wölfel was now in the SA. Willi Kohn's son left Germany for Paris.
April 18th, 1933. Wölfel is gone. You don't want to write or express how a father feels at a moment like this. Trudy, is always pushing for us to immigrate. I don't see very great opportunities for us or for my abilities. I don't want to start all over again. Here I can do something. I am something. Who knows whether I could do it all again in another place?
The troubled times had innkeeper Matthias Mees worried too.
May 18th, 1933. We were scheduled to have a foresters meeting here this morning. At 8 o'clock, I spoke to the person who organized the meeting. He told me there would be 30 people coming and asked me to prepare meat broth, warm sausages, and so on. 10 o'clock came, and nobody arrived. Finally, the assistant forester appeared to tell me the foresters had decided to go to another place run by Nazis. So it goes. Not only Jews are being boycotted, but also Christians who aren't Nazis, those who can't change their minds like they change a shirt. It's done out of cowardice, out of fear.
Luise Solmitz's enthusiasm for Hitler had so far blinded her to the dangers that National Socialism posed to her own family. Her husband Friedrich, known as Freddy, was baptized as a Christian but had Jewish roots. Not even their daughter knew anything about the family's Jewish heritage.
Gisela keeps telling me she wants to join the Hitler Youth. I say no. I can't give her the reason. Gisela hates Jews. Freddy says nothing, and I say nothing.
Gisela's school asked for documentation confirming students' Aryan origins, in other words, a declaration that she wasn't of Jewish descent. Gisela herself didn't think it would be a problem.
May 20th, 1933 was a fateful day for us. Gisela came home from school. Am I an Aryan? She handed Freddy a form that read, "My daughter Gisela Solmitz is of Aryan/non-Aryan descent. Please cross out the option that does not apply." She gave him a look and said, "You're crossing out the wrong thing." The child was pale as snow. For a child to be brought up so German, so full of faith and enthusiasm for Hitler, to then be expelled suddenly from a community in which she thought she had equal rights. Nothing in the world is more important to me than my husband and child. And yet, I know that Hitler's racial principles are correct.
Franz Schall's apprenticeship with a Dresden carpenter was becoming a burden. He only found enjoyment outside of work, where he was now an instructor in the Hitler Youth.
I cleaned the bike early. Around 2 o'clock, a short meeting at the German Youth Centre. Then on to training the members. I marched with them onto the heath. The boys enjoyed it. For me, it was the best part of the whole day. It's a task I could really be good at. Now I'm struggling to figure out how my career and the movement complement each other.
Times were also changing in the Mies household.
Little Maria wants a brown uniform. I asked, which would you rather have, an angel dress or a Hitler dress? She answered, a Hitler dress, and Father, you must get a Hitler suit too. Then we can go out walking together. So Hitler has already taken root in the smallest of souls.
The inn run by Mies was near the train station, on a road that led to Wittlich prison.
At noon today, another long train arrived, carrying protective custody prisoners. You could feel the horror when you saw them, their grim, bitter faces.
The Nazis had set up the first concentration camps. Many of the party's political opponents were imprisoned.
Wie der Führer, unser Volkskanzler Adolf Hitler, wiederholt betont hat, ist der Reichsregierung jeder zur Mitarbeit willkommen, der sich zu Deutschland bekennt. Jeder aber, der sich gegen Deutschland wendet, soll wissen, dass er als Feind des Volkes aus der Volksgemeinschaft ausgemerzt wird.
For the previous 4 years, Matthias Mies had been a town councillor representing the Centre Party. In July, the party disbanded, and Mies lost his seat. But the Nazi Party in Wittlich did not want to do without the cooperation of experienced local politicians. Mies considered it, even though he had little to do with the Nazis.
August 14th, 1933. The Nazi salute is now in general use. I haven't used it yet because something inside me resists it. The salute is intended as a sign of triumph over non-Nazis. It's even been introduced in schools, and the traditional Grüß Gott greeting has been abolished. It's worth thinking about whether it would be wiser to join them after all.
Just 3 weeks later, Mies was at a city council meeting with the new mayor. It was time to decide.
Mr. Neuerburg began by saying, "Gentlemen, I open the meeting with a salute. Heil Hitler." He raised his arm. We did the same, but wordlessly. For the first time, I have raised my arm and made the German salute.
Inge Thiele was a 19-year-old gardener living in Solingen, in the west of Germany. At her daughter's request, her name has been changed. On September 2nd, 1933, she began to keep a diary.
I want to write about my everyday life here, with its joys and sorrows. Just a small person with big dreams who wants to describe her journey.
Inge Thiele came from a poor background. Her mother suffered from constant illness. Her father was unemployed. She had 4 siblings. She had left home, moving from Castrop-Rauxel in the Ruhr region to Solingen. It was a chance to break out of the narrow confines of life with her family.
September 5th, 1933. A warm September day. I strutted about with bare arms and legs. My body is completely attuned to light and sun. If the whole economy turns around, women are going to disappear from professional life again. Up until now, having a job was necessary, at least in our circles. The government is trying to bring working girls back to housework again, and to make the job of housewife and mother more desirable in general.
Up until now, motherhood and housework had not been her dream. But why not? provided she could find the right man. For now, though, she wanted to be independent. She wanted to have enough income to save up some money and be able to afford some new clothes, like a dress.
Whoever helps us poor people out of the dirt, I'll worship him. That person will be my God. Last night, a speech by Adolf Hitler was broadcast on all German stations.
Es ist doch lästig immer diese Sammlungen. Du hast nie den Hunger kennengelernt, sonst würdest du wissen, wie lästig der Hunger ist.
Hitler isn't letting up. It's vital extreme poverty be addressed. All those in need should be covered by the winter relief program, regardless of their beliefs.
There were local collections for the poor. The initiative was popular. More than 1.5 million volunteers took part, especially those from the Hitler Youth and the League of German Girls.
I want to join the League of German Girls. Anyone who isn't with an organization will gradually become an outsider, and I don't want that.
Breslau, January 8th, 1934. Trudy was at Dr. Braun's this afternoon. She's not sure whether there might be a little one on the way. Despite the difficult circumstances, I'd be very happy about it because I get such pleasure from the children.
Becoming a father again in uncertain times. Willi Kohn had been dismissed from his teaching job because he was a social democrat. He kept the family afloat by writing essays and giving academic lectures and private lessons.
February 4th, 1934. Happy to be in the League of German Girls. Special emphasis is placed on camaraderie. I look forward to our social evenings. I find my interests are catered to here. Politics, free expression, sport, literature, music and singing. It gives all of us stability. Runs through the forest are a league specialty, all in the name of improving the health of the youth. That which makes you weak and soft is to be eradicated as a matter of principle. Strong, resilient people are the cornerstone of the state. There's no place left for inferior people. I must have a bicycle. I've already saved a bit for it.
In Hamburg, Luisa and Freddie Solmitz worried about their daughter, Gisela. Word had not yet spread across her school that she was of Jewish descent. But how long would it stay that way?
It's clear the doors of happiness will slowly close on Gisela, whether it's career or marriage. I tremble at every chance word, every visit to the house, every letter. What use is it for Gisela to work hard at school? She can't achieve anything or become anything. All we have can be taken away from us. What option would we have but to pack up? And Gisela would have to go with us.
July 1st, 1934. For a few days, we've been having long-awaited rain. I sing songs on my way to work, always Hitler Youth songs. But I have something terribly sad to report. SA Chief Röhm has been removed from office and expelled from the party.
Germans were met by the surprising news that a coup had been foiled. What followed was a purge within Nazi leadership. Adolf Hitler saw Ernst Röhm, head of the paramilitary SA units, as a rival and adversary. Under the pretext of preventing a revolt, and with reference to Röhm's homosexuality, Hitler had him arrested.
Last night, the Führer himself carried out the purge and uncovered the reprehensible lifestyle of these brothers. About 10 of them are no longer breathing, shot immediately.
After the death of President Paul von Hindenburg, Hitler assumed sole power over the Reich. Germany's so-called Führer traveled across the country. He arrived in Hamburg on August 17, 1934. Tens of thousands of people came out to greet him, including Luise Solmitz. She wrote in her diary,
Hitler's day and Hitler weather. An expectant crowd surged along the street, and then Hitler came. I'll never forget the moment when he slowly drove past us in his brown uniform, giving the Hitler salute the way he does. Enthusiasm was sky high. What a real-life fairy tale. Afterwards, it was extremely difficult to get back to everyday life.
Gott danke ich Ihnen, meine Nachfolger, für den heutigen Tag. Er war für Sie vielleicht ein großes Erlebnis, für mich ein noch größeres. Sie haben mir Glauben gegeben. Das Deutschland nie untergehen wird.
It's all Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. That Hitler can do everything, that he knows everything, that he's responsible for everything, and that Hitler will change the face of the earth. The mail vans used to be yellow. Now they'll be painted red. The yellow of the mail vans is age-old. It's ancient poetry. Now it must make way for the colors of the National Socialists.
The second year of the new Germany was ending. The Kohns were not going to bring a new child into the world after all. In fact, the family would be getting smaller. Willy Kohn's eldest son had already left Germany, and now the younger son, Ernst, was preparing to move to Palestine. The important thing was for the children to be safe in a place where they had a future.
December 12th, 1934, Wednesday. My birthday. As a birthday present, Trudy had the 3 children photographed for me. The picture turned out wonderfully.
January 1st, 1935. We celebrated the new year with the regulars in the usual way, by emptying some good old bottles. A 1925 Domschatz Hofberger, a 1925 Wittlicker Calmet, a 1920 Peace Porter Falkenberg. My resolutions? Oh, I don't do that. I'm just happy to do my job each day. My wishes? All the best to everyone. May the baby we're expecting at the end of March be happy and healthy, and may the mother remain strong and healthy.
January 20th, 1935. Last year, I set myself a few goals. Some of them I accomplished. I own a bicycle. But I didn't manage to learn the guitar, and I haven't had the opportunity to win the sports badge yet. But I must achieve both. And then there's this year's trip with the League of German Girls at Easter or Pentecost.
Franz Schall had finished his apprenticeship. New opportunities now lay ahead.
It's done. I passed my exam as journeyman carpenter, and now I'm studying education. My field of vision has expanded so suddenly. It's like being a blind man groping along and then suddenly looking into the light of day after years of darkness.
Schall moved to Jena. As a student, he no longer had time to keep his diary. He stopped writing. However, a letter Schall wrote to his father has survived. The elder Schall had been arrested by the Gestapo under suspicion of treason.
I have always feared that your naysaying and your negative attitude would get you into trouble. Like every National Socialist, I don't view the present through rose-tinted glasses. I see its faults and weaknesses, just like anyone whose eyes and ears are open. But that only obliges me to work even harder for the new state. But that's enough now. I have a lecture to get to. Heil Hitler! Franz Albrecht.
Pentecost, 1935. Inge Thiele was looking forward to the long-awaited bicycle tour with the League of German Girls.
There were 14 girls. We started out along the Rhine. Behind us, 2 young men were commuting on their motorcycles. After a few shy attempts, we struck up a conversation. I was immediately taken with the tall blonde man. When he laughed, his teeth flashed against his brown face. It gave me a wonderful feeling. Soon we were walking hand in hand. We kissed and flirted like people in love. For the hours and days that followed, I felt like I was sleepwalking. I was so happy, but sad too, because it was all over so quickly.
A few months earlier, the Mies family had welcomed their newborn daughter, Elisabeth. Now there were 3 children in the family. It put more responsibility on the shoulders of Matthias. The business would have to prosper. In many restaurants in Wittlich, Jews were no longer welcome.
It was now time for me to examine the Jewish question as well. Because Jews had been banned from the other establishments, they naturally gravitated towards my inn. In summer, the beer garden was bustling almost every evening. And that's when I noticed that Jews often came in, especially young men with their floozies. They'd sit beneath the light of the garden lamp, where everyone could see them. The Jews must have known that some of the officials wouldn't take kindly to this. It was as if they were saying, "This is our place. The government can't touch us here. We can do what we want." Because the Jews were making it worse from week to week, I let them know that it would be better if we avoided each other a little from now on. Since then, my place has been judenrein, clean of Jews.
You see these signs everywhere now. Jews not welcome here. The Stürmer newspaper always says the best things about Jews, the dark-skinned and those who complain. No one does better caricatures of those typical Jewish-looking faces.
September 12th, 1935. An outrageously obscene poster advertising the Stürmer has been stuck to bulletin boards. The murderous people. It's terrible to have to live in an environment that allows such abuse. Even though I try as much as possible not to let things get inside my head, I couldn't help dreaming about it in the night.
In February, Willy Kohn's second son, Ernst, left Germany.
When you have children so far away, of course, you're always a bit unsettled. But I'm happy that they are out there living in freedom, where no abusive placards are carried through the streets. The so-called Freedom Conference is taking place in Nuremberg right now. Of course, it's bringing with it the usual insults against us.
At the end of the conference in mid-September 1935, Nazi leadership proclaimed the infamous Nuremberg Laws. The Solmitz family awaited the new regulations with apprehension.
Hinter allen Gesetzen steht die Partei und mit ihr und hinter ihr die deutsche Nation.
Midnight. The laws are to be announced on the radio. Gisela is now 15 years old. She's still awake. She asked, "Has he said anything yet?" I'm so scared.
Eheschließungen zwischen Juden und Staatsangehörigen deutschen oder artverwandten Blutes sind verboten.
It's a death sentence for us as citizens. Whoever marries my daughter will go to prison, as will she. We no longer belong to you. We're not permitted to. This realization and this intention were the bottom line of the Nuremberg Conference for me. Living it is not as easy as it sounds or looks when written down. Our child is an outcast, excluded, despised, worthless. There'll be no job for her, no future, no marriage.
Inge Thiele, on the other hand, was enthusiastic about the new race laws.
Everything for the purity of our blood. In other words, Jews, get back in your place, the place we, your hosts, have assigned to you. We should thank our leader for such wonderful laws. And woe to those of the bygone era who scoff at this. We, the youth, are here now. We follow the Führer. His beliefs and goals are ours.
One of the laws passed in Nuremberg would mean a change for innkeeper Matthias Mays.
The swastika flag is becoming the flag of the Reich. I'm going to buy a swastika flag. Now it's no longer a party flag. And you're no longer making a political statement by displaying it. An acquaintance said to me, "Nobody would have believed that you would ever display a swastika flag."
By the end of the year, The first regulations implementing the Nuremberg laws had been published. Was there a chance that Freddy Solmitz could avoid becoming a second-class citizen after all?
I looked over it quickly at first, looking for something comforting. And there is something. The Führer can allow exceptions. Freddy will need the newspaper for writing his letter to him, which he's doing now. May it be successful. While Freddy was writing his letter, I was listening to Beethoven's Sixth Symphony in the living room. I sat in the dark, moon and lantern light on the white curtains. A magical atmosphere. And a heart in which 100 thoughts were flying around, not knowing whether bitterness or hope would prevail.
That night, the Solmitz household was full of apprehension and fear.
Before going to bed, Gisela said to me, "Maybe in a year's time I'll already be dead, and not of natural causes."